Hello everyone, it's Incredimations here, and today I'm gonna talk about how I make my videos. I'm basically going to go over the process of planning and creating these animated videos. I'll specifically go over my thought process for my most recent animation, Potted Plants. Hopefully listening to me explaining my thought process will inspire you to create your own animated videos. And yes, this is the second episode of the long-awaited series, How I Made This. Before we start, let's make one thing clear. In this video, I won't be talking about specific animation techniques. I'm just gonna go over my general process in video creation, which will hopefully inspire you to use some of these tips in your videos. Alrighty-o, let's get started. So every animation I make has 4 different stages. These stages are planning, voice acting, animating, and editing. Alright, so let's talk about the planning stage. First, I always do this stage on paper. It's very important to not just dive straight into ToomBoom or whatever animation software you use and come up with your ideas by hand. Writing or drawing out my ideas traditionally helps me be more creative in trying to think of solutions for what I can do. Animation takes so much time and it's all done staring at a screen for long periods of time, so if I have the option, I always start these projects off traditionally. Anyway, the first part of planning is getting ideas. It's very important to have an idea for what your video will be. I find that if I'm stuck with ideas, using an idea map really helps. In case you don't know what an idea map is, it's like a web of ideas that start out from something general in the middle, and then you list various things around the middle, and the further out you go, the more specific with your ideas you get. For my potted plants idea, I started by thinking of which characters to use, a current hobby of theirs or a new interest, whether it should be indoors or outdoors, whether it could be silly or serious. Who am I kidding? It's always silly. Anyway, afterwards, I move on to the script. Whenever I plan a script, I write down notes for what happens in the animation, and I add dialogue to the script if it's present. Next up is the storyboard. Here I generally follow the script in terms of what I need to do, but I make some spontaneous changes as well. In my potted plants animation, for example, after the large plant slams the table, the 2 smaller plants fly up as well. It's kind of funny, honestly. And that's the end of the planning stage. Let's move on to the voice acting stage. Now this stage is optional depending on what I'm going for, but I usually do voice acting since I love bringing my characters to life this way. Some tips I have for voice acting is to try to speak in a loud and clear voice so people can understand what you're saying, and also try to speak naturally but have a little bit of exaggeration in it as well. Here are a couple examples I thought of for my character Nick. There it is. My garden is finally complete. I gotta show this to Faith. This plant, it's way too big. Yes, I love voice acting. Anyway, I use a Junivo microphone and a free program called Audacity to record my voice lines. And after I'm done these lines, I move on to the animation stage. Before I go over my animation process, I'll briefly talk about the programs and tools that I use. The main animation program that I use is ToomBoom Harmony. It is 100% the best animation program that I've used. However, it's very expensive. If you're looking for something free, I'd recommend either Krita or Fire Alpaca. I find that these 2 programs are very good for beginner animators especially. And now the tablet that I use is a Huion H610. I've had this tablet for quite a few years and it still works quite well to this day. I definitely recommend it. Alright, now let's move on to the actual animation process. The first part of the animation stage is quite similar to the last part of the planning stage. It's basically redrawing the storyboard and seeing what it looks like digitally. I find that redrawing the storyboard really helps you get a feel for what your animation is going to be like on the screen rather than just the paper. After this part, I move on to the frames. This stage basically connects the storyboard together with a bunch of different animation techniques in between and makes the drawings feel like that they're coming to life. This stage I find very important to animate your whole animation before adding any outline or color because it's much easier to fix mistakes on a sketch rather than if it's already colored in or if the outline's already there. Once you're feeling confident about your sketches, you move on to the outline. Here you trace over the sketches for clear line art and where you clarify the form of a character. There really isn't too much to say about the outline, you just basically go over the sketches in order for your animation to look clean. The last part of the animation stage is color. Here I fill in the outline with colors, and I try to pick colors for the characters that work well together. I generally make the characters more saturated compared to the background in order to help them stand out. And besides, I'm sure we'd all rather watch Nick frantically panicking with a plant not knowing what to do with it than just a random cloud just sitting in the background. Finally, after I'm done coloring, I export the animation and I'm ready to edit. Alright, the editing stage is the fourth and final stage. In this stage, I import any animated clips that I have and put them together with sounds. I adjust any sounds that may be too loud or too quiet and time it right with the animation. After everything's put together, I upload it to YouTube. By the way, the editing program that I use is Hitfilm Express. It's both free and easy to use. Oh, and one more thing. For my potted plants video, I made my own song that plays at the end. Here's what it sounds like. You know, I really like how it turned out, and I think it fits the video perfectly. It's the first time I've ever made an original song for my YouTube channel, but it won't be the last. And that's my video making process. I hope you all enjoyed. What I went through right now is a very broad process as to how I make my videos. I'm definitely willing to talk about any of the stages of my process in more detail in future videos. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. I'm very happy that I brought back the How I Made this series. I always enjoy explaining to you all how I make things. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and see ya in the next video.